And so that whether we like it or not, beyond the RH bill, there are concerns about the relationship of the population to the carrying capacity of the country. So when we're talking about a billion Filipinos, or even 500 million Filipinos, and saying that we should not be afraid because then we can even invade China, I think, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor, that this is quite an irresponsible statement. And we must really realize here, that we must, as responsible citizens, we have to be also concerned about the ability of our economy to be able to support our population. You see, Mr. Speaker, let me just give you our example of our neighboring countries.
Mr. Speaker, I'm sorry.
Whether
it might get lost, but I want to know what I said that was irresponsible.
When you said that we should not worry about having a billion Filipinos because then we can invade China, I think that this is the kind of, it might be a bit exaggerated, Mr. Speaker, but it does seem...
I withdraw that statement, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, but let me just say, Mr. Speaker, that when you look at the experience of our neighbors, Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, they had very, very good reproductive health programs. And one of the consequences was that it was brought about a lowering of their population growth rate, which created a really good balance between population and the economy and population and the environment. And let me just say that Vietnam, Indonesia, and Thailand have very flourishing economies at this point in time. And a central reason for this is the fact that they were able to have good reproductive health programs. So I think that we must be also concerned about the relationship of population to the economy and population to the environment. And that, having said that, I think we come back to the consensus among measures of proponents of the RH bill that the principal objective is to promote reproductive health. Yun ho ang consensus ng proponents.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. But speaking of consensus, I understand that a few sessions ago, in defending the RH bill, one of the co-sponsors admitted that the RH bill is a population control bill and a reproductive health bill. So there appears to be no consensus after all. And for all the good intentions or interpretations of our distinguished sponsor on the floor, it is clear that the other co-sponsors may have different ideas. And in fact, in the end, the fears of this representation may be justified, even from the language alone of the RH bill, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, Your Honor, if I may just ask our distinguished interpellator, who was the sponsor that mentioned it was a population control measure? Because I've been here in all the sessions and I have not heard this formulation. What I heard from the various defenders, whether it was Dr. Garin or Congressman Lagman or Congresswoman Cojuangco or Congresswoman Aglipay, or Congressman Marcoleta, was that the principal objective was really to promote reproductive health and responsible parenthood, and the effect on population was incidental. So that's why I would like to ask you who exactly it was, because I don't think it's fair to say that without identifying the person, because it's important to be able to clarify what exactly that person said.
I could be wrong, therefore I will not mention the defender anymore, the co-sponsor. It's not so material anyway. But what I wanted to point out was if RH bill were in fact a population control bill, as it appears to this representation, and I'm sure many of our colleagues will see that the, if not intended object, one of the inevitable consequences of the RH bill would be to limit population growth. Inevitable. And to allow the state, the government, to set population targets or to make policy out of the number of people who can exist, who can be born into this country is a very dangerous path that we will be treading because it has totalitarian implications. We would end up like some countries that are criticized in the Family of Nations for having a one-child policy that would forcibly, that would force people to limit their children to only one and use violence against families that, that have more than one children. We do not want our state, we do not want a government that has such a power over the individual human being, the citizen, and even more important, over the family, because these issues of how many children a family is to have should be beyond the competence, beyond the authority, beyond the power of government to control and even to merely dictate on and even to merely propagandize, which is already happening. And we fear that that power of the state to indoctrinate people that they should have less children than they would otherwise want because it's good for them, because people will support their parents when the parents grow old. Because if we are poor, but we have 10 children, perhaps one will become a global boxing champion and raise everybody else up from our poverty. This is how Filipinos should be thinking. Our future, our security, our progress depends on our children, because we will all grow old, we will all grow weak. And what we are now can be bettered if we have more children to do the producing, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, Your Honor, I think that all the sponsors of the RH bill would share your criticism and your condemnation of a country that uses forcible methods of population control. That we share the